Sean Tindell, Commissioner of Mississippi Department of Public Safety. Good morning, Sean. How are you, sir?
Good morning. I'm just wondering about who gave the $23,000.
Yeah, me too.
To help him get there.
Me too. I mean, that would be a success, but again, that's a crazy story. How are you doing? Everything okay?
Oh, yeah. It's just been a year at DPS. It's been quite a ride.
Well, I was a little worried when we had a change of schedule here. I thought, something broke out, and he's on the job this morning. So,
well, we've been up in Northeast Mississippi. We had plans this week to come up to this part of the state and visit with law enforcement officers up here and local officials. So we've kind of been doing that, and we were supposed to be back last night, but we got pushed to this morning. So we're on the road heading that way.
Listen, I want to talk about the first year and everything on the other side of the break when we got more time here, but I want to spend some time on the trooper John Harris. And again, I mentioned it on the air that I know his dad. Even as a young man, I knew his grandparents. I didn't know much about John Martin, but I got to tell you, I watched yesterday. It was archived, and I watched Jimmy's as a father. His preaching at the services, I have never heard a better speech from the heart as a father. It was enlightening. It was incredible. I mean, I teared up. It was absolutely an incredible speech, to the point where Jimmy might need to let somebody else run the store and go get a doctorate in theology. He did an incredible job.
Look, I tell you what, if you didn't have a tear in your eye after listening to him, I think you got a cold heart. I mean, the man talking about his son kept it together. I don't know how he got past the first sentence. But it was inspirational. The love he has for all his boys, the faith that he has in God. It was truly a heartfelt, touching, and inspirational speech, and really it was quite amazing. And that's one of the things with this job. I can say it kind of hits you right between the ears when it comes, because you don't see it, and it's like a punch to the face. And it was just unfortunate. I feel blessed to have such a good team of law enforcement around me, and former commissioners reached out. We talked through some of the things that I needed to be doing for the family, and words that might need to be said. And then when I met his father, he just kind of commands the room, and the whole thing and the service was really good.
It was incredible, and I think no greater love has a father and son than what was shown there during that service. Is there any update that you can give us as far as the driver of the vehicle right now, or anything new? And I understand it may still be under investigation.
It's still under investigation, and we need to let that investigation be completed. I think some unfortunate decisions might have been made that led to this, and it's certainly one of those things that I'm going to go ahead and say that I feel like was preventable. But, we're going to allow that investigation to be completed. And really, in the meantime, my focus from the agency standpoint is trying to make sure that John Martin's wife, Kate, and his two children are taken care of. I know we've got a couple of fundraisers going. We're getting close to almost $200,000 being raised.
That is fantastic.
And that's going to be to make sure those kids can stay in their home and continue a life that they've become accustomed and used to.
If you were watching this being telecast, and of course, like on Facebook, they have the comments out there. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on this one, but I know people are, if you're watching it, and I feel badly for people who are reading. The vast majority of them were good. But there were some people, and I don't think they were even from Mississippi, there were some things on there that people actually put on there that were just so heinous. You lose faith in humanity when you have people who had the audacity to put something like that on a venue where a lot of people are watching it. And I couldn't be that kind of person. Even if there is nobody that I dislike that much to do that. But that's one of those things that with social media, you're going to bring out the worst of people and you have to forget it. But for all the rest of people, the GoFund account is still open, I'm sure.
It is, and you can go to the Department of Public Safety Facebook page. There's a link to it, and you can go on there and certainly help the family out in this moment of uncertainty for them. And going back to that, it's folks have a right to freedom of speech. They have a right to say what they want to say. This is America, and it's of course a cornerstone of our constitutional rights. Is the freedom of speech, but I mean, have a little kindness in your heart, and understand what a family's going through. I mean, even folks that I might disagree with politically or ideologically, or and just have a vast difference with, I wouldn't celebrate a tragedy in their life. And other folks shouldn't do that. I mean, this was a good man. He was a good family man. Yep. When I walked into his house, you could just tell it was a house of love with his children and his wife, and they're going through a lot, and it's just not necessary.
Well, most of these people were not even from the state, and I don't think there's anything you could say to soften up their hearts. That they did what they did, but it happens every time. It doesn't matter what the tragedy is. There's some people that are going to say that. Somebody was asking me yesterday or day before, and we were talking about this, and when a highway patrolman, he or she, black or white, young or old, it doesn't really matter, when somebody is stopped on especially a 2-lane road like that, are there any markers or cones or lighting or anything that they put behind the vehicle, or they don't have that in the trunk of the vehicle?
No, they don't. And, of course, they've got lights on their vehicle that really kind of brighten up, and the ones now are much better than the ones we had 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. So most folks see it, and, I think especially on these 2-lane roads, it can just be very, very dangerous. And when you've got commercial vehicles moving along at high speeds, I mean, it's just dangerous. And and sometimes these things have happened and will happen, and all we have to do is try to make sure, from our perspective, we're doing everything we can to have safety procedures in place that minimize the risk, and understand that every day these folks go out and do their job. This is a risk that they take. Yeah.
The Commissioner of Mississippi Department of Public Safety, Sean Tindell, which does kind of bring home the point, Commissioner, that not only is that danger in you don't know who's going to be in the vehicle and how much of a danger they are, but just outside the vehicle itself there's a danger.
That's it. And most people think of, law enforcement officers when they die in the line of duty, it was, shots fired or, an assault. But many times, if you look back at the history of death of law enforcement, many times it's accidents on the road doing their job.
Absolutely.
And it's just a dangerous place.
A lot of changes in a short span of a year from the Commissioner Sean